Let's now talk about cluster health and metrics. One of the tools that we have, and the one that we're going to be using in this workshop, is Azure Monitor for containers. Azure Monitor for containers is available through the Azure portal, and if you go inside of monitoring and then insights down here at the bottom, you can get access to a lot of metrics. What was done by the engineering team to develop this solution includes surfacing logs from not only your cluster, your nodes, your controllers, and containers, but it will also allow you to go deeply inside of the cluster versus having to use command line utils, which you certainly can, but this is also easily available here. For instance, if I need to look at one of my, let's say, Grafana deployments that I do have here, I can click on it and get more information. I can also, because this is already all here in Azure, I can also attach this and trigger this to other things like automation runbooks or Azure functions. Speaking of Grafana and Prometheus are another solution. They're very popular in open source, and what we can do with Grafana and Prometheus is do dashboards, customized dashboards with Grafana, where we're surfacing metrics that Prometheus can harvest for us. That's another option. You could also use Prometheus and bring those metrics up to Azure Monitor. That's also an option. In here, what we have is, if we just go side by side, it's information around the cluster. So general information about CPU, node count, active pods. We can then drill into specific nodes and take a look at them, and we can even expand some of this. You can actually see all of the workload on that specific node with not only like uptime and status. And if you click again, if you go inside, we're drilling down here, you can get very, very specific information around, let's say, in my case here, one of the daemon sets that I have. Containers will go again into the specific of the pods, and then the team just brought up now some information around deployments as well. So you can also have a view of that. A couple of things that I want to mention here, so if you just go back to containers, is that we want to certainly use the tools that you are comfortable and you already have experience using. Again, love using Azure Monitor, fairly easy to just get everything up and running, and you really have a very rich experience just from the get-go. When we're looking at another side here, and we're monitoring our pods and how, whether they're healthy or not, there are two probes that are highly important. I'm going to bring them up here now. They're called Liveness and Readiness. So if you take a look at this example here at the Kubernetes website, here you have a Liveness probe, TCP Liveness probe, and then we also have a Readiness probe. Now, with a Liveness probe, what's happening there is that Kubernetes is inspecting whether or not a given pod is alive. And if it isn't replying, so in our case here on port 8080, the Kubernetes API can trigger so that a pod gets restarted. So that pod is probably not healthy. But the other thing is this. Maybe the pod is coming up, it's bootstrapping, and it needs time. And if it doesn't get enough time, well, Kubernetes might think that you're not ready, so I'm going to restart you. So you're kind of in a catch-22 situation at that point. For this, we have readiness. And with the readiness probe, what we're doing is this. Let's wait, in our case here, 5 seconds, and actually see if this pod is ready to serve traffic. If it is, fine, we'll send that to him. So it's a watchdog. Even when it's up and running and ready, sometimes it means that it might not be alive. And that's where liveness probe would come in. So the combination of readiness and liveness on your deployment files would guarantee that you at least have that extra visibility and extra control whether or not your pods are healthy and could serve traffic back, whether that's another pod or to another customer. And the last thing I want to touch base here is that AKS provides a built-in self-healing infrastructure for infrastructure nodes called Node Auto Repair. I'll have a link specifically around that on the description of this video, so you can understand how and why we do that.